Hello, beloved friend and fellow pilgrim. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Magnificent Obsession. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to this channel, like, comment, share, and hit that bell icon so you can be notified of every brand new video we post. I'm teaching and sharing from my latest book titled Jesus, Our Magnificent Obsession 365. It's my story, it's my drive, it's my dream, it's my motivation that you will really become like Paul. So fascinated, so enthralled with who Jesus is and the potential of what he can do with you and in you and for you, that you will turn your back on the world, turn your back on popular Christianity, turn your back on powerless Christianity, turn your back on Laodicean Christianity. I write in this book about the identity of Christ. Who is Jesus really? Well, it depends on who you ask. If you ask the Muslim, Jesus is the greatest prophet I ever lived. But then the very next breath, they deny his true identity. He is not the Son of God. He was just a great prophet, the greatest, they say. You ask the New Ager, Jesus is energy. And they will tell you, I work with the energy of Jesus and I work with other energies. If you ask the Jew, the name of Jesus is a curse word, the anathema. You cannot, in the mind of a traditional Jewish person, you cannot be a Christian and be a Jew at the same time. And then so when Jews come to Jesus and they begin to read the New Testament, suddenly they discover it's not a Christian book, it's not a Catholic book, like many of them think. It is a Jewish book. The Messiah Jesus was Jewish. His apostles, Jewish. The first members of the church, Jewish. Everything about the New Testament, Jewish. It's a big revelation to them. So who is Jesus? Ask the historian, or some great, unlettered, uneducated man who turned the world upside down and founded the world's biggest or largest religion. But if you ask me who Jesus is, like I said last week, I'll have to ask you first, how much time do you have? Because it's impossible to define him. There's not one word in the English vocabulary that can define him. There's not enough words even to explain who he is. How do you describe someone who is larger than life? Who existed before the mountains and the hills? Who was there in the beginning, before the beginning began? Who sustains all of creation, the galaxies, the constellations? He sustains them all, the suns, the moons, the stars, by the word of his mighty power. How do you use one word or even a multiplicity of words to describe someone who will be there when the sun and the moon and the stars have stopped shining and have gone into a black hole? How do you describe someone who is sweeter than honey, who is brighter than the noonday sun, who is more intelligent than all the sages together? How do you describe someone who at the age of 12 answered all the questions of the rabbis and the doctors of the law, but he would ask them questions and they could never answer? How do you describe someone, even though he's 100% man, yet he was 100% God? He could read the thoughts of people from afar. He could in fact read their thoughts before they have the thoughts. How do you describe someone who would create brand new eyeballs for men that were born blind? Someone who would create brand new bones for people that are born lame with no bone in their appendages? There is not enough word. Jesus is the logic of God. John chapter 1 verse 1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The Word was God, and in him was life, and the life was the light of men, and the light shines in darkness, and darkness will never in a trillion years be able to comprehend or overcome it. And that Word became flesh. According to John chapter 3, God was in the world, reconciling the world to himself. He was not some great preacher or some great sage or some great prophet. He was God in human form. According to Hebrews chapter 1 verse 3, he was the express image of the invisible God, the radiance of his glory. If God were to look in a mirror, what will look back at him will be Jesus. If God were the sun, the light of the sun, the rays of the sun will be Jesus. Man was made in the image of God, but Jesus was the express image of God. Jesus asked the disciples, how come you don't realize that when you see me, you see God? Thomas worshipped him. I've heard people trying to trick Christians and demanding to see a place in the scriptures where Jesus said, I'm God, worship me. Well, in John chapter 20, Jesus invited Thomas. Come put your finger through the nail prints in my hand. Come put your finger in my side where I was pierced. Thomas did, and Thomas fell down and cried, my Lord and my God. And Jesus stood there and absorbed his worship. Peter worshipped him. He said, depart from me, for I'm a sinful man. Jesus is the Word that bears witness in heaven and on earth. The prophets spoke about him. A virgin shall conceive, Isaiah says, 800 years before he was born. A child shall be born unto us, a son given unto us, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. When I think of Jesus, I think of the crazy details. How he will scream on the cross, Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani. In Psalm 22, how they will share his clothes, how he will die of a heart rupture. When I think of Jesus, I can't but think of several words. I can think of beautiful. I can think of powerful. I can think enchanting, intoxicating even, full of marvels, full of grace, full of glory, full of beauty. Would you give Jesus total control of your life today? Would you fall on your knees and crown him the King of your heart? He's already the King of the universe, but he wants to be the King of your heart. Until next time when I come your way, this is your brother, your messenger, your friend, Olu George, saying, God love you, I love you, Christ is with you.
Thank you for watching Magnificent Obsession. Remember, the creator of the universe wants to have a vibrant relationship with you. Find out how. WhatsApp or Telegram, +278 1300 6633. To become a remnant warrior, visit www.olugeorgeministries.global.